Welcome everyone to the first presentation of the roundtable discussion focusing on cross-linguistic lexical properties of child-directed print corpus, implications for Filipino and Kannada assessments. During the course of the presentation, I'll be focusing on the theoretical aspects, the goals of this research, introduce the child-directed print corpus, and provide the observations from our lexical property metric analysis and cross-corpora observation and its implication. Moving on to the theoretical highlights. In child language acquisition, according to the input and usage-based accounts of language learning, we know that language learning and language acquisition are usage-based. That is, more you read and more you use the language, better you get at it. We all know that the children's books are a rich source for language, literacy, cognitive, and socio-emotional enrichment. Exposure to written language from very young age can facilitate language as well as literacy development. And it is documented that the number of books at home and book supply are sensitive markers of children's exposure to opportunities. In this research, we aim to estimate the lexical features in two linguistically distinct Asian languages child-directed print corpora, that is, in Filipino and Kannada. Filipino, the language spoken in Philippines, is an Austronesian language, and Kannada is a Dravidian language spoken in South India. We aim to assess the features of within-language corpora that differ by token size and also conduct a preliminary cross-corpora analysis. Moving on to the first aim. So for the lexical property of the child-directed print corpora, we looked at the word and sentence count in books as well as the type token ratio curves and type curves across book levels. So here the print corpus comprises of the children's book published in Filipino as well as in Kannada language for children between 3 to 10 years of age and the books that were published till the year 2020. So these are books which are commonly read to and read by young children, those which are best-selling, recommended by parents, teachers, or librarians. So what we have in our print corpus is comprised of the entire story text, sentence by sentence, as it appears in the children's book. So these are inclusive of picture books, short story collections, non-fictions, chapter books, learners' materials, and even works which has been translated from other languages. So as we see here in this table, the sentence count per book and word count per book varies or increases depending on the book level of the children. For instance, the books for 3 to 5 have a sentence count of around 24. For example, in the Kannada corpus, this increases to around 126 sentences for books of 9 to 10 years. In the similar way, the pattern is seen for in word count also, wherein we see a stepwise increase in the number of words. So we are seeing that in both the Kannada and in the Filipino corpus, we see that the number of sentences per book as well as the number of words per book is increasing with increase in the age band. There's one more observation that we see between the two corpus. We see that on average, each Kannada book have more number of words and sentences as compared to the Filipino print corpus. This does indicate that wide range of difference between the Kannada and the Filipino in terms of the sentence count as well as the word count may likely be reflecting the difference in the public teaching tradition between the two. That is, for instance, unlike Filipino print corpus where we did not find chapter books, in our Kannada print corpus we had chapter books. So there are small chapters of short length and there are chapters which are happening more than once in each of this book level. So this is the visual representation of the exact data which has been shown in the previous table. So as indicated in this histogram, this is a histogram which represents the number of sentences per book as a characteristic for Filipino language between 3 to 5 years. So as we see here, the number of sentences for books that is accounted for 3 to 5 years is less than 50. Same way, if you take for books which are for 6 to 8 years or for 9 to 10 years, we see that the number of sentences are below 150 for 6 to 8 years and below 200 for 9 to 10 years. This bottom panel exhibits the number of words per book for Filipino, and we also see that similar to the way we had seen in sentences, there is a limit to the number of words per book what we see in the lower age band. That is, for instance, for 3 to 5 year old, the books we see that there are less than 500 words. And when it comes to 6 to 8 year old, it is lower than 1000. And when it comes to 9 to 10 year old, it is lower than 2000. So what we are seeing here is that the characteristic per book is varying depending on the area for, depending on the age band for which the book has been written. A similar trend was seen even for the Kannada books in terms of number of sentences per book as well as for number of words per book. As the histogram indicates here, we see that the number of words and number of sentences per book are more for the books for the older age band as compared to the lower age band. And we also see that the wide distribution, what we saw earlier in the Filipino book corpus, was not seen in Kannada corpus. Other than this sentence count and word count, we also explored lexical diversity as an index of the print environment. That is, here we looked into the types and tokens. To make it simple to understand from a spoken language corpus, here is a visual. Here we see 5 jars or 5 beakers, and we see there are some beads in this. So what these beads are indicating are the total words in this corpus. So these total words are called as word tokens. So if I take an example, the first utterance, the dog barks, we have 3 word tokens or 3 words. And we also see that these 3 words are 3 unique words. But if I introduce a second sentence into it, that is, a dog chases a cat, we see that even though the number of tokens are increasing, even though there are 5 tokens in it, we see that among these 5 tokens, there are only 2 words that are unique. So when we do a comparison for doing a type token ratio, we are going to analyze and compute what is the cumulative word tokens and what are the cumulative word types, and then estimate the cumulative type token ratio as it is indicated here. So if we see the last column, which is indicated as cumulative type token ratio, if you look across the values from the sentence 1 to the sentence 5, we see that as more and more sentences are added, the ratio or the value is decreasing, which means that there is an increasing number of common words when it comes to the last one. Example, if you take the last sentence, you see that even though there are 5 tokens, all the words had already appeared earlier in the set. So in this research paper, what we are trying to aim is to estimate the type token ratio as a function of different token size and also attempt to replicate if these cumulative token ratio, what we have seen in spoken corpora, is also being replicated in our print corpora. That is, whether the TTR decrease as a function of the token size. So to move forward, this is the plot that we could plot for Filipino in terms of type token ratio on the y-axis and the token size on the x-axis. So as we see, what we have done is to get this plot. This is in line with the Bondag-Iqbal procedure where the type token ratio or the cumulative is being calculated by estimating for random samples. So for each random sample, the unique word types and the unique word tokens are estimated and a cumulative type token ratio is estimated. So as we see in this plot for Filipino, we see that there is a decreasing trend for TTR values with increase in token size. What we see here as token size refers to the total number of words. So you see that this decrease is changing exponentially, wherein for the initial few tokens, it is rapidly decreasing, and over the period of time, as it moves forward for the next tokens or the later tokens, it is happening in a slower fashion. The same trend we have seen that in Kannada also, the same replication of what we have seen in the spoken corpora and in the Filipino is being evident. We moved forward in also elaborating and looking into how is this print environment varying with each book level. So here, as you see in this plot for Filipino, we have looked into the TTR across the different token size as a function of different book levels. That is the books for 3 to 5 years, books for 6 to 8, and books for 9 to 10. So as you can see, for instance, if I take a token size of say 10,000, we see that the TTR values are lower for the lower age band, that is 3 to 5, as compared to what we see for the higher age band, which is indicated in green color. The same way we see that the trend of decreasing TTR and also the TTR being better for higher age band being found also in the Kannada corpus. Apart from the common type token ratio, we moved forward to evaluate or estimate how is the type count curves or how is the encounters with unique words. The reason why we are looking into these unique words is because we all know that the meaning of the type token ratio estimation as a measure of lexical diversity is less meaningful. It's less transparent. There are a lot of concerns with respect to the corpora size or the token size. So here, to make it more meaningful and easy to interpret even for practitioners and teachers, we looked into a plot called as type count curves. So as you see here, this is referring to the unique word encounters the children get exposed to as they exposed to more number of words. So this is an indication of the language input of what a child gets exposed to in terms of unique words. So these unique words are also called as types, or these curves are called as type count curves. So as we see here for Filipino, on the y-axis we have the unique words, on the x-axis we have the token size. And what we see here is, for instance, if I take a token size of say 20,000, we see that in Filipino, the books, the unique words that the children get exposed to is more than 5,000. And as the token size increases, we find that the number of unique words that the child is exposed to also increases. So it increases up to more than 16,000 by the time for a token size of 1,20,000. A similar trend we saw even in Kannada, which indicates that more the print exposure, more would be the exposure to unique words in these children. But there's one striking difference that was evident when we were looking into the Filipino and the Kannada corpus. As you can see here, for a 20,000 words for in Filipino, we see that the number of unique words that the children are exposed to around 5,000. At the same token size of say 20,000, we see that the children are exposed to more number of unique words, that is around 9,800 words. Same way, for a higher token size of say 1,20,000, we see that children are exposed to more than 35,000 words. So we see that there is a difference between the Filipino and Kannada in terms of the unique words that the children are exposed to. And this difference requires further exploration to understand what is a linguistic characterization that differentiate or that comes up with these kind of differences in unique word curves. We also looked into the book levels the same way we have done for TTR estimation. And what we see here is similar to the trend what we saw for type token curves in cumulative. Across the book levels also, we are seeing that the higher age band children, they have more higher unique word exposure as compared to a lower age band. And this is increasing with increase in token size. And these findings, what we see here of variation between the age bands, it has a great potential implications when considering the vocabulary demands that these children have to go through at these different age bands. So to move into the observations of these implications of these observations from the AIM 1, we see that the books for both Kannada and Filipino, they are rich in language and they are available for language for children to use. But we need to ensure that these books are available to them, and we need to make sure that the book access is created. And this calls for attention to promote early book experience at both home and school. So we need to make sure that this can pave way for enhanced language and literacy development. Another implication that is derived from the first part of our research is that there are variation between the age bands. This calls for need for developing a sensitive book leveling scheme, which we would be again discussing in the next day of our roundtable, which means that the books needs to be properly categorized at each age levels. This have implications when we are looking into the intervention aspect, when we are doing a material selection for intervention, as well as for assessment when we are looking for item selection. Another implication that has come up with the part 1 of our research is that we found that the corpora is sensitive towards the lexical properties are sensitive towards the corpora size. So it is important to look into measures such as unique word encounters, which will be an important domain of consideration, both from the perspective of how the print exposure is happening at home and during preschool, and also to understand how other language experiences. Further, this corpus is also a useful source for text construction, basically for all as a measure of early language development and across different languages. Moving to the last shorter part of this research is we also looked into the cross-corpora analysis. The reason why we looked into it is with the existing demands of the copyright violations to be not be taken, we have tried our best with our aspiration to ensure that a section of the Talk Together corpus is made open access. So here in this part, we wanted to look into how much representative is this open access corpus as compared to the overall corpus. So here what we call as a public corpus is drawn from the private corpus, and it is representing every 10th sentence in the private corpus. So here this would be comprising of a non-sequential text, whereas the private corpus is the entire text. So what we see here is with one of the histograms, if you see here, this is representing the number of sentences in public as well as in private corpus. So if you see just from the distribution pattern itself, we see that there is a similarity in the way the number of sentences per book are represented in public corpus as well as in private corpus. A similar trend was seen for words in both Filipino as well as in Kannada. Lastly, from terms of the normalized word frequency count. So if you see with the plot mentioned here and the correlation coefficient of 1, it does indicate that the word frequency characteristics, what we see in the smaller corpora of public corpus, is similar to what we see in the larger corpora of the private corpus. So this implication of the similarity in the trend is that in those languages where corpora are not available, use of these non-sequential text corpora or a smaller corpora size are useful measures to increase the research infrastructure. Through this project, we are trying to present what an indigenously created open access corpora looks like and what are the lexical characteristics. This has implications for research in other understudied languages. To summarize, the presented data unpacks the language input theories of language learning regarding why the books at home, in school, and elsewhere are good measures of opportunity, and also it reconfirms the message that opportunities for access to books and quality book experience are crucial for enhanced language learning. Here are the references.